Okay, we are here with two of my favorite people in the whole world, Matt and Jenna Giesow. And one of the questions that I ask you guys is Tulsans you admire. And so I will say, when I think of two people that I admire, you guys definitely come to mind. They're actually one of my favorite couples, two of my favorite people. And so you guys get to see all the time Tulsa and the surrounding suburbs through my eyes. And today you are going to get to see Tulsa and the surrounding suburbs through your eyes.
Sure.
So you guys are super important guests. I want to give a little bit of background information about you so the audience will, get to know where you're coming from.
Sure.
But so you guys are small business owners, and I think we both started kind of at the same time, right?
We did.
Yeah.
Similar times, I remember, yeah.
Yeah, so when I started real estate, you guys had just launched the business.
Yeah, so first off, thank you so much for having Jenna and I. We're honored to just be guests and be able to talk about what it is we do. We own a company called Vast Media here, a small business here in Tulsa. It's a production company with a primary focus on real estate photography, listing media, aerial photography, drone, and then that flows over into commercial production, social media management, marketing, advertising. So, I don't know how much further you want me to go into, but basically we crossed paths with Sabrina early on. We were working at a broker's open, and I don't know if we were passing out flyers or free headshots, or we had done photos for the listing agent, and Sabrina had came through and was like, I'm going to give you guys a shot. And we really sold. We were like, in the beginning, we were like, man, we just need agents that will go all in, right? We'll just not question, is this supposed to cost this much? Or when is this supposed to happen? Just trust the process and allow you to be you so that we can help build you up even more and build your brand. So I'm happy to say that we're going on year 6 now. Sabrina's used us from day one, so for all of her listing marketing. So I have no doubt that's why you stand out. So,
yeah, one thing I've always appreciated about you as well is that you do not. I was just telling Matt this week, there are 2 different types of real estate agents. They see what we do as a business as almost like a I don't want to say the word of a non-negotiable, like an annoying non-negotiable, like I got to get the photos, right? But you really do see it as an investment.
Absolutely.
And it goes beyond I just got to get the photos to get it listed and then sell it. You see it as I have to have my media, my full package.
My package
and then
offering,
you do a great job about taking it further than, just beyond the sell of the house. You sell your brand with it, you know? And so you've always done a great job about that. And we admire that about you.
Yeah.
Well, I will say that I have had, you guys are by far the absolute best media company. I would recommend you to anyone. I do recommend you to anyone.
You have so many times over the years. And
Yes.
we're so thankful.
And I have people call me and I'm like, they're really nice, but I was like, they're like, we'll do a house for free or whatever. I'm like, there's no need.
Yeah.
I'm very loyal. I will never switch. So
We appreciate
you guys
that.
are amazing and I love that. So if you ever need video service for, housing or commercials or social media, I would definitely recommend you guys.
Wonderful.
And
Thanks,
small
Sabrina.
business is there's these huge corporations, which are great, and they provide jobs and stuff, but small business is the backbone of our economy. And so I think it's just so important. So with that is why I wanted you guys here, and I wanted everyone to know about you, just to give some background information. And actually, Jenna is from Tulsa,
I am.
and Matt is a transplant.
Yes.
So both of your guys' viewpoints are going to be amazing.
Yeah.
So let's talk about Tulsa. What is your favorite thing about Tulsa?
I love the cost of living.
Yeah.
I've lived
Number
here
one.
my whole life, minus going away for college. I'm an Oklahoma State grad, go Pokes. But aside from that, just you can't beat the cost of living. I think growing up as a kid, you don't really think about that. I've never had to really, considered that as a kid as much. But now as an adult, I'm like, oh my gosh, I'm so grateful that I've grown up in a place that's provided great opportunity. So that's been one of my favorite things. Another favorite thing I love is it's actually, I have to tell this to Matt, and when we first started dating, because we started dating right about the time he did move to Tulsa. He hadn't been in Tulsa long, and so he was he didn't know where anything was. And so I
still GPS
I'm still
everything.
like
She's
helping
like,
him
it's a grid.
It's a grid. Like
I'm like, that
Tulsa's
does nothing
so
for me.
navigatable.
Yeah.
If you can memorize
though.
your order of streets, like Garnett and Garnett, Mingo, Memorial, Sheridan, and so on,
Yes.
you can really learn your system, because first through, 171st all the way out to Bixby. But if you know your grid, like, it's really navigatable. I know that sounds
Someone
crazy.
who's lived in Tulsa their whole life.
It really is easy to understand, like, where to find everything if you can memorize that. And I've always loved that about Tulsa.
Yeah. I moved down here in 2015 from Michigan, the great state of Michigan,
Yes.
greatest state around.
Very different economy.
Go Blue, national champs there.
Yeah,
so,
they did just win.
I got to ride on that. But I grew up in Brighton, Michigan, just 10 minutes from Ann Arbor. So the big house, the Wolverines were like, as a kid, you like watch them more than you watched like NFL. But when I came down to Tulsa, I would agree with Jenna. Cost of living is drastically more valuable down here. You get your dollars stretched so much farther. And that explains why there's such big booms of new construction neighborhoods and developments. And every time you think something's done, they've got 3 more that are getting ready to go in. And those have a little different bent. So you do that back in Michigan, and it's like, I mean, you got to deal with snow for 5-6 months out of the year. And like, just real estate's more expensive. It's just harder. So anyway, I love Tulsa so much just because, exactly what Jenna said, the opportunity, especially for being a business owner, was perfect.
Yeah,
I mean, like,
absolutely.
it was, I don't want to say it was, low risk. Like, it was a lot of risk in the beginning, but it was actually better to risk it out here in Tulsa than like do it in California or do it in Florida or do it somewhere else where you might think the real estate is so glamorous and we're going into like commercializing and making that stuff look as good as it can. Shouldn't we be somewhere other than, like, people laugh.
Yeah.
Jenna's in groups and she does consulting and they're like, what do you guys do out in Tulsa? Jenna's like, you have no idea. There's so much new construction. There's just lots of opportunities.
Which is very unique about our market too, and even in our line of work. And I don't think a lot of even like our clientele really realize that. Like, we are in a really unique market for the industry we serve. Because a lot of agencies like ours all around the U.S., they are working with clientele that are, gridlocked.
Yeah.
They don't have any.
Yes.
There's not a lot to build. There's not a lot new going in. And they are like, how do I continue to have a business? Because they're, experiencing the real estate market and the roller coaster. And for us, I'm so thankful. We take, I think, that for granted in Tulsa. I'm like, actually, there's tons of land and there's lots of neighborhoods and there's lots of developments, and that means there's actually lots of job security for us, to be honest with you.
There's lots of swings at the plate. Like, that's what I tell our guys. I was like, you're blessed. Like, you love photography. All of our media pros that are in the field love what they do. They actually genuinely like shooting houses. Some people do not enjoy photographing houses or architecture. Oh, it gets boring, but they get 5 to 6 appointments a day. So they get a lot of swings at the plate, I always tell them. You're going to come into some houses and it's going to be drop dead gorgeous. There's going to be other houses you're going to come in that you're like, I can't wait to get out of here, right? It's our job to kind of treat it as a singular product. And our product is to make it look as good as possible for whoever hired us. So not do they always have nice listings and we work harder? We work as hard as we can for anybody who comes through, anyone who visits our website, because ultimately if we didn't, our portfolio wouldn't be a portfolio. It would just be the best of the best. Show me your worst houses that we've shot. So sorry.
But that is such a Tulsa thing.
Yeah.
Just to bring it back, that is something we experience in Tulsa in our line of work that I don't think
we've got a guest.
Okay.
I just don't think other areas. Oh,
Hi.
What, babe? Hey. Dear God.
It's okay.
maybe you can use this.
Yeah.
Why don't you go sit down?
Is the closest bathroom just out in the hallway?
Can we pause?
Yeah, we can pause.
Oh, God.
just she'll be too. You gotta go pee.
Yes.
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah.
Great.
It's fine. It's spring break
man.
in
We got a
Oklahoma
guest.
too. Yes, we got a guest appearance by Charlie.
I hope you can use that.
I know.
Oh my gosh.
I know.
I know
Great
when we
guest
scheduled
appearance.
the podcast, I was like, well, yeah, that day works great. And then
Yeah, you always forget the Friday before spring break
They're out of school.
they're out of school. But she has been fantastic.
Yeah.
And when you gotta go, you gotta go.
You gotta go.
I don't actually even mind if we keep this on.
Okay.
Like it's just real.
You
So
wanna keep going?
yeah, let's keep going.
Cool. Yeah, do you have a question?
Well, I was gonna say when I talked to, because when I started real estate, I started coaching, and it was video coaching.
Yeah.
So that's why video did become so important to me.
Yeah.
And why I know it's valuable. But I would compare you guys to, I have agent friends that are in California and Washington, coast to coast, all amazing. But your guys' videography is like on point, amazing.
Thank you. We've really, really, I feel like, redefined what it is in Tulsa. When we came on the scene, there were companies, of course, there's real estate photography. Like, of course, that existed before us. We didn't invent that. But I will say when Matt first started, I don't think a lot of people know this, a part of the business, but he made his first real estate video and he posted it to social media, and he had all these brokerages reach out and say, how many can you handle?
Wow.
We want to serve for our agents, and we want to pay for them, and we want to help our agents, and how many can you do? And it was like all of them told him, no one does this here. No one does this like this. Traditionally it's been like slideshows, and people think that's a video, and it's not a video.
Right.
And so we really studied other markets. We had mentors ourselves. One of our biggest mentors was out in San Francisco. They've scaled, a $10 million plus company doing what we do. Very different than our market, and what we can really do. We've always felt we're kind of limited, and we know that. And I actually consult other businesses like ours around the U.S. that want to have a business like ours, but might be a solopreneur or might be like doing it on their own, and they don't really know where to begin. They don't have a booking link. They don't even know how to scale it. And so when I talk to them, when we talk pricing, they're like, you're actually charging like really way less than, what I charge in my area. And I'm in, Seattle, or I'm in New York, or and I'm like, yeah, but look at where I live. Look at our cost of living. We're probably last in the U.S., when it comes to anything. And it's just really cheap to live here. So we're very limited, I feel like, in like what we charge in the real estate landscape. But we try, with that being said, we know we could charge a lot more, especially in comparison to when you look at it very traditionally in our industry. A lot of people compare, they actually structure their pricing based on what the sell of the house is going to be. So they actually ask how much will it be listed for? If it's going to go for $1 million plus, they're actually going to structure that pricing.
We'll take 0.5%.
They actually do take
0.25%. Like
kind of structured that way.
That might be the future of
you
where
work with us,
things are
like
going.
you're like, I've never had to tell you how much. Like, we just don't do that. It's just based on size and our product. And so I feel like that's a big advantage for our market here in Tulsa. But we also do that because we live in Tulsa.
Yeah.
We live in Tulsa. We're aware of that.
I remember when I was first starting out, I had no idea what to charge. Because there wasn't really a reference point for what we were doing, videos and photo, and then starting to give the complete package. There was a lot of people that followed after that copied our pricing model, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
But it was kind of hard because I was assessing all these people that were kind of mentoring us from a distance that were in California and East Coast. And I'm like, yeah, your guys' prices are nice. It's a lot more expensive to live out there. I was like, our clients aren't going to pay that, or we've really just got to have something. But over the years, you come in early on and you just try to build value where you can. And when something works, and the more value it adds, the more value you can add to what you're asking for. And it's it's a business decision, just like you would go buy a car, you know exactly what you want to pay for that car, the lowest possible, right? But you ultimately know, I want that model of that car. So if everything's right, it's a business transaction. So, and ultimately the biggest thing I've felt has been a success with Vast is, a lot of companies are creative, but if you can be creative in an aspect that ties to people's personal financial success, it's a psychological connection that it's not even a second guess. I got to go find the cheapest. No, I have a new listing. I got to get Vast on it right away. And that's kind of how I've always wanted it to be, because at the end of the day, we're going to do the best work we can for whoever sends us out in the field. So.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
But Tulsa's been a huge success for that. You know, I can't imagine starting from ground zero in our line of work and business in any other market.
Yeah.
Like it really has. I know that, you know, the real estate market has changed over 6 years. Of course it has. But I am really thankful we have not seen a ton of changes in our business personally.
Yeah.
I just, it is what it, everyone's always like, are you guys busy? Are you guys, you know, there's not a lot of listings. And I'm like, we are though.
Yeah,
like I can show you the listings.
busy,
Like
so.
you can come to us if you're looking for a house, you know, if you want to hit the market, we see them all, you know?
That's like,
So, you know, I'm just thankful that it's only, I think, because of Tulsa's market.
that's actually how we found our house, right?
Yeah, that is how we found our house.
Jenna and I got a chance to buy our dream home. We've been thought it was going to be a couple more years in the future. And lo and behold, it ended up being a listing that Miss Sabrina Shaw had. And she booked our team to come out. And it wasn't even
wasn't
me.
us,
It was a busy week. We had a really busy week. Jenna and I went out to dinner. And she was like, hey, have you seen this house that just went live in Broken Arrow? And we're constantly wanting to stay in Broken Arrow, which is a suburb of Tulsa. We just like the school district. We like where our kids are. And we're like, can we go see it? So we literally ended up buying that house after we did the media. And it wasn't on the market, but what, a day and a half, 2 days or something?
It worked out perfect. Yeah. There's no other way we would have gotten the house had you not been the listing.
The stars aligned and for what we wanted, where we wanted. It was kind of peculiar, too, for how nice it was, where it was, but it was exactly what we wanted.
I know.
Wanted,
you guys are the perfect people for that house.
Yeah.
We love that house.
I love it so much.
So let's piggyback that from Broken Arrow.
Yeah.
So is Broken Arrow your favorite suburb?
Yeah.
It
Tulsa?
is.
I've taught in Bixby, and so I used to be a teacher, and I would drive from Broken Arrow, first married, and I would drive to Bixby High School, and I taught in Bixby. But I actually grew up in Coweta. So I'm from Coweta, just
that's
another suburb. And so I have family who lives in Berry Hill. Actually, you were a listing agent on some of their land. I don't even remember that. Yeah, I'll tell you.
Yeah.
I'll tell you later. I recommended you for one of their pieces of land, and then we shot it, and I was like, but I never actually messaged you and said, hey, that's my family. And so I think growing up in Coweta, which for our viewers, Coweta is about 20-25 minutes from Tulsa, and I was there in Coweta from 3rd grade to graduating high school. And so pretty much, my whole upbringing was spent there. So I'm very familiar with even the smaller areas, Porter.
What was
Wagner.
What was your graduating class of Coweta?
2010. The year or size? 214.
Okay. Yeah. So what was that? 4A, 5A?
5A. 5A. So I was just about to say we played Claremore, we played Skytook, I played basketball, and we would play all these, Sepulpa, all these, 5A teams at the time. I don't know if they're still all 5A. Bixby was 5A at the time in our district, but so we traveled to all of, the suburbs. And so growing up in that, it's funny because Matt was just debating with me on this. He's like, you didn't grow up in Tulsa though. And I'm like, no, when someone asks you where you're from Tulsa.
Yeah.
It's not, I'm from Coweta. I'm not from Broken Arrow. I'm from Tulsa that. And it's primarily, if you live in Oklahoma, you've grown up here, it's either you're from Tulsa or you're from Oklahoma City.
Right.
And that's where you just associate it with.
Yeah, you gravitate towards the biggest geographical.
The biggest, yeah.
But I wouldn't say I was from Detroit when I was in Michigan, because that carries a different connotation. I would say I'm from, you know where Ann Arbor is?
Yeah.
Great city of Ann Arbor. Yeah, just 10 minutes north of that is where I grew up. So anyway.
Yeah. But it's interesting because my parents were both in the military when my mom was pregnant with me. And not a lot of people know this, which is so random about me, but I actually wasn't born in Oklahoma. I was born on a military base in El Paso.
Oh my goodness.
And so my mom was in the Army, my dad was in the Navy, Navy. And they had me on a base, and then a week later we moved to Tulsa. And then we moved to North Tulsa. And so, but this was the 90s. And so I grew up off Archer in the 90s in North Tulsa, right down the road from Merritt's before it, the old one. And so there's a lot of iconic places along that area that I still remember going to as a kid. It's not really a frequent area now, you know, that I think a lot of people like tend to like want to go to, you know, a ton, but I love that area so much.
Yeah.
And my parents divorced when I was 4, and we had a little house over there, and we always say if it ever goes for sale, we'll buy it.
We're trying to get that house. So.
I think I've seen you do a post on that house, actually.
Yeah, it's such a like near and dear house to me. And then
you need to have somebody, I don't want to interrupt that story, but you need to have somebody set up a search for you in case that ever goes.
Yeah.
Like I'll do that.
So
Give me the address.
So it triggers,
so it triggers so you don't miss that.
True.
Because I think it is a rental.
I think it is too. We've looked up the tax
records.
records. Yeah.
Okay, but back to your story.
And so when my parents divorced, my dad moved away. My mom became a single mom. And it was actually the year that the rural development opportunity came out, which is, I think, another major bonus of our area. And just knowing, you know, your opportunity for a rural development type loan. But I actually like lived the testimony of a rural development and how it kind of like changed our life. I would have never imagined. We had like no money growing up, and my mom was a single mom at that point. We were living out of her work, which is crazy. And she was like, then we moved to an apartment. I lived at the Greens of Bedford. Off of 61st and Garnett. And so we drive past that a lot, and I'm like, I remember living there.
Old stomping grounds. Yeah.
And then it came time that my mom was like, okay, I'm going to see what assistance is available. What can we do? And so she applied for rural development, and we got approved. And she tells the story. She just got on the highway, and they told her the areas, and she just drove until it felt right, and she ended up in Coweta. She literally just went east on the broken expressway and was like, okay, they told me this works. And so we built a house with Eddie Reynolds, which he doesn't build a ton anymore.
I was going to say, is he still a builder? I don't recognize that.
He was a builder out of Coweta for a really long time. Denise Mink worked with him, Kelsey Mink's mom.
Yes.
Loved her. And so she actually, crazy full circle too. Denise was my mom's realtor, and then Kelsey and I went to high school together and grew up together. And then we moved to Coweta. But it's funny because I just like, you know, I asked my mom about, you know, I remember building the house and then moving out to Coweta and like really getting a chance for us to like start again, you know? Yeah. And she tells me the story of like, it just like makes me cry, but she tells me, she was like, yeah, I'll never forget, like, it was just, we had never had anything new or like nice. And she was like, I remember closing day came. And this is crazy that this happened, but she was like, the week of closing, they told me that like 2,000 of my like, basically, I guess, remaining payment or something that she was supposed to, maybe like down payment or something, was going to be like now due. And she wasn't allocating for it. We're still living at the Greens of Bedford. And they were like, you're going to need it. And she was like, I had that exact much saved up for our appliances. And they were like, but you can close on your house. And so she had to like take that money, put it towards so that we could close. And she said we moved into the house and we used like ice chest for like 6 months and like washed our own clothes. And like we didn't have, and I was just thinking about that. I'm like she was just like so resourceful in that whole process. But
get
like
a cooler, like,
you know,
let's go.
she was like, oh, it was no big deal. Like it was just, you know, the way of life and like what we did. But we were in this brand new home in Coweta, and I was in a great school district. And we were able to kind of restart. And then, I graduated from Coweta, and then I went to Oklahoma State. And first generation college grad.
Oh,
so
wow.
So and then I met Matt.
And we don't live far from Coweta. We're in Broken Arrow.
Yeah, which is crazy.
We're very close to Coweta.
My first
Highway
job was in
51.
Coweta. Roy's Chicken.
Roy's Chicken.
Yeah.
We're gonna start shouting out all the local places.
We are.
Hey, I have to stop right now before anything else and shout out, what is it? Maple Tacos?
Oh,
what's the
across the
taco
street.
place right across the street? Because that's probably some of the best tacos I've eaten.
You ever had
I
it?
just had them the other day.
Yeah,
Oh
it's
my
so good.
goodness.
I love
It's so
tacos,
good.
but like I like Torchy's. I like
Great place.
food truck tacos, but those are just like
Different.
Yeah. Those are delicious.
Not sponsored. So
So
shout out right
I
there.
think just experiencing Tulsa from living in it, and then I've actually lived in so many different pockets of Tulsa at this point. At one point when we didn't live out Archer anymore, actually the first place we moved to was Manford. And so in Keystone. I went to Keystone for a little bit.
Okay.
And so I've seen so many different schools. I've lived in so many different pockets of it. So I'm just able to like navigate it really well when it comes to these towns and distance. And also, just to answer your question too, one of my other favorite things about Tulsa is you can get from beginning to end in like 20 minutes. It's really,
that is nice.
It's so
That's
nice. You will not really hardly ever get caught in traffic unless it's 5 o'clock on a Thursday or Friday.
We go home
super nice.
to see my parents in Michigan, go to IKEA, and we're stuck in traffic for 30, and it's not that far away from where they live. It's just different ways of getting.
It's just different.
That's another thing about just like living different places, the travel, the commute. To downtown, we do have an office in downtown, and we also operate a little bit out of our home as well, being a small business where we can. Commute to downtown's about, I'd say 20, 22 minutes, something like that, right from our house to downtown, which is great.
Turnpike.
We just take the turnpike.
And you guys are on the outskirts of Broken Arrow.
We are, we're like south BA. I mean, right on the line of Coweta.
NSU. Broken Arrow campus, that's the exit.
Oh, what do you guys think about the amphitheater that's coming?
Yeah, we're excited. There's a lot of people, especially in our neighborhood, that are very fired up about this.
Oh, really?
Not about it.
But I mean, we're excited. I think it's, I don't know, like I've lived here my whole life, and like being near that, like especially growing up in Coweta, you don't have things like that readily next to you, you know. And then the minute we hear like bands like the Lumineers could come,
I was hearing like it's some of the similar bands that are on the the ballot or the ticket for like Red Rocks Amphitheater and stuff like that. So like you've got like Lumineers, Mumford, like people that are like. They could be 2 miles from my house. Maybe I could be out by the pond, hearing a little bit of acoustics. Like, I'm good with that. But some of the neighbors are not like, super thrilled, but they're also not thrilled about other things.
The whole thing.
I think it's going to be so amazing, and the opportunity, the economic opportunity that it'll have on Broken Arrow is going to be awesome too.
I mean, look what the Gathering Place did right there. I know that's the Gathering Place, but it's like anything that's positive for the community like that, where multiple people can enjoy it, and then the marketing, the advertising. I mean, like I have family, obviously from Michigan. They're all like, they can't. Charlie's cousins cannot stop talking about the Gathering Place, and they've been to other places.
They come to visit for it.
Yeah, they come to Tulsa to visit, and I was like, it's kind of funny because I didn't think that was ever like.
It's a top 10 world attraction.
Yes.
Yeah, I know.
Which is insane.
But it's
it's like right in our backyard.
I don't take it for granted. I just I appreciate it, and if they want to do more like that out in Broken Arrow, like I'm not going to go against that at all. So.
Yeah. Okay. So now Charlie's in Broken Arrow schools. So tell me how you guys feel about the schools. Like, how's that?
We love Broken Arrow. We're big public ed supporters. I think a lot of people are always asking, like, are you, what school are you going to put her in? And I'm like, I'm going to put her in the district where we live. Like, that's where we're going, and we both are public school kids. We love the opportunity Broken Arrow provides. I have had the honor to meet, some of the administration and educators, and they really care about kids. And that's what I care about. They care about kids. And all the other stuff that comes with Oklahoma politics and education just fall by the wayside, which is nice. Yeah. They focus on the kids.
Which is awesome and needed. And you being in public ed, me being in public ed previously, it's so important, and I think can completely change the trajectory of, a child's life. So I love hearing you say that. Anything good about the public schools. Yeah. Now, did you start a nonprofit?
Yeah.
Yeah. Tell me about that for the public schools.
Yes. Yeah, EduBridge is what it's called. And so we essentially exist to meet practical needs for educators without red tape.
Yes.
Is how I put it. With being in the classroom yourself, you know that if you need assistance in any way, you need a grant, you need just something that would be better for your kids, or you need something personally. Like
on your Amazon list.
I remember being a first year teacher, and I was like, I'm going to make how much money? I think you're missing a zero. You know what I'm saying? And, you know, you do it because you love it. But I remember being in the classroom in those first few years, and I'm thankful I was single at that time. I don't know how I would have done it with let's call it overhead of a family and a house. And one thing I love about EduBridge, and I had a vision for it, is that I've had people reach out and say, hey, there's 2 educators in this district, their roof just collapsed, what can we do? Can we buy them a new roof? We've replaced carpet for some teachers' houses that flooded, that they have no emergency fund. And that is like, I'm not talking crayons. I'm not talking tissues. I'm not talking hand sanitizer that you can go get from your supply closet, most likely. I'm talking like practical, my electricity is about to be shut off. But like you're pouring into 140 kids every day, and you shouldn't be worried about that. And so,
but the district can't really do anything about it.
The district hands are tied. There's so much like red tape within it. And so when we hear of someone like that, we're like, what can we do? And we started doing that. And I started being like, this should be a way where businesses can fund and give to this cause and receive tax deductible benefits for doing so. And it just fired me up that didn't exist. Yeah. Like, and so I remember like replacing that house and being like, okay, so here's all our receipts. And they were like, that's a gift to the, and I'm like, no, but we're like, this should exist. Like this is an educator and, and so I wanted it to be very, beneficial for businesses and to be another organization people can give to it goes directly back to teachers.
I think it really woke you up when teachers were posting their like wish lists and you researched it and you were like, I just bought like 6 things off people's wish list. Not that like we're in it all for the tax deductions, but like you were looking for those and realize that they're not tax deductible. Like if you
as a business owner, that's just something you we give to so many different organizations,
churches, and
so I am always keeping records of my tax deductions, and education should be one of them.
But a teacher's wish
a grand
list.
scheme in my head that I feel like we could fund public education if we could all sit down with some big time owners. Quick Trip, you are one of them. But I'm saying I just a little goes a long way, and I think in being in business now. But like being on the end as a teacher, like I have sent invoices now that I used to make in 1 year. And that sobering thought of like knowing that there is money in business that isn't like I do this for the cause of good, like education of just like, we just do it and I don't make any money. But in business, it's like, I can hustle. I can like work really hard. I am my own ceiling.
Right.
And not from the side of like, I think like, greed or like, we're going to do this for like us, but it's for the side of like, I'm going to do this so that we can fund this. I'm going to do this so that we have money set aside to pay for this kid's mission trip to Africa or something, like so that we have the means to be able to give. And so EduBridge has been one of the biggest things. A goal for that. And I know that's what's so frustrating, fires me. I know there are other businesses like that out there. That's like, where should we give?
Yeah.
We have the extra. We want to give.
Help, but I want to also make sure that my help is a help.
Yeah.
So like, what does that look like? Yeah. And there's so much just like mistrust in today's world of like, donate to this, donate to that. But ultimately, like one thing we can all agree on in Oklahoma is teachers, especially in the public education, are vastly like just undervalued. And going through that and experiencing that kind of ticked you off enough to like have a bent towards like, we're going to take care of this in any means possible. And you're right. The person whose house we were able to like help like replace and renovate and all that stuff, that was like the biggest thing in their life, at that moment. But like at the end of the day, we're like, okay, who else needs one of those? Not that it's like look at us. It's like, if you're blessed to be a blessing. And if you're not, like, it's like you're going to lose most of it anyway. I feel like in the long run, people, I mean, that's a very biblical term, but like be stingy and lose everything. Like the generous are blessed and their world gets bigger and bigger, the Bible says. So it's always suited us well. And there have been times There have been so many times when we were first married when we didn't have like anything to rub together. Like we used everything we had to get to where we were. Business, everything was a startup. Everything was Jenna came home and I was selling furniture and she was like, what are you doing? I was like, we don't need that chair. She's like, what were you doing? I was like, oh, I was going to buy part of a lens. And she's like, it's not even going to buy the lens. It's going to buy part of it. I was like, I mean, stuff's kind of expensive. That's why I started telling her. She wasn't understanding. And then that just grew and grew and grew. And, but she saw the value. And I always positioned it with Jenna as like a proposition. First off, I've never had to like get her to agree on any, like we're pretty like-minded in terms of our business savvy. And like, she came home one time with a bunch of bounce houses that she bought. And she's like, let's launch a bounce house business.
It's
so we
really
have that
random.
going.
We have some bounce houses now.
It's not like I went to the store and I got this shirt today. Jenna comes home, she's like, I got another business today. I'm like, you're freaking kidding
This guy
me.
was
What are you
like
talking about?
closing his doors, and I was like,
a heck of a deal
work
on like
something here.
commercial grade. So
We've been
our
renting out to the
neighborhood, Highland
neighborhood.
Creek, is really the only recipients right now because I'm too lazy to go to other neighborhoods.
That's great. All the neighbors want them.
Really?
Yeah, we rent them out 2
my
hours
gosh.
at a time.
About four
That's awesome.
rentals a weekend.
Already made our money back. It's great.
It's like our weekend money.
Yeah.
So
That is awesome.
Anyway.
I love it.
Yeah. So we're always thinking.
Okay, so Edge of Bridge, Bounce House, like can they all just go to Vast and get a hold of you, or like how do they get involved if they want to rent a bounce house, or if they want to give
The bounce house.
or if
Which
they
is
want
still
to,
such a funny thing.
Yeah.
that we have bounce
or if they
houses.
want to give or talk to you about joining your cause, because I did not even realize that it went that far. I thought it was more like the educational things, but to hear that is completely amazing. I went into administration because I was a single mom with boys as a teacher. I couldn't afford it.
So
I had to go into administration to increase my paycheck so I could be a single mom.
exactly where she was. She
Yeah.
was like, I want to go back, but I'm going to be a superintendent or whatever. It's the only way I can like afford to stay in the education world because it's just there's not a whole lot of money. It's unfortunate, but like it's so vitally important that like if you throw that by the wayside, I mean, you're kind of you're gambling with like the future of everyone, basically, in terms of diminishing education. So
and the teachers that are there, for the most part, I mean, you always hear horror stories, but like teachers that are there, I mean, they have a heart for kids. They are, they are there. That is, is a giving cause, and it is harder and harder to be a teacher now. So
I think too, just having kids of our own now.
Yes,
it's just like I see it through a different lens. We talk about all the time. Would I go back to the classroom? And I think I've had a few people kind of speak this in that they're like, I think you'll be back in the classroom one day, but probably not from the teaching side. I would love to go to the political side. So I don't know what that looks like for us, but we kind of like,
we're not super political people.
We're not political people, but
maybe,
I can definitely walk into a room and fight for a good cause.
Yeah.
And so I feel like Oklahoma education is just such like, it's like screaming for a cause, for some help,
What were those stats when you started EduBridge? Wasn't it like 48 out of 50 or something like that?
Yeah.
And that was the slogan. It's not okay, to be like
Yeah.
that. But so much value, and it's a great place.
Yeah.
It's a great place. It's a great place.
Okay. Well, let's talk about, so you talked about Highland Creek a little bit.
Yeah.
Now, tell me about your neighborhood, like what you like about it. I know you talked a little bit, but give us more.
What do you like about the neighborhood?
Highland Creek is a great neighborhood. You've got multiple phases. I love specifically where we live. It's positioned right on a pond, and on the other side of the pond, you've got the swimming pool, you've got the playground for the kids, you've got places where you can walk the dogs and throw the ball, and then if you walk past that, there's another pond and walking trails on the other side. So there's just like tons to do for the that was a big selling feature. Not only when we saw the house, we fell in love with the house, but the fact that all the playground was like, I had to look past the pond, all this water, and then you saw it right there. So I didn't have to get a play set. Like my kid wanted a playground so bad. Now it's an excuse. We just walk, and a pool. And so the neighbors are awesome.
Yeah.
We've had really positive experiences with all of our neighbors, which isn't what we had at previous other places. We've had great neighbors at other places, but we've also, been in those parts in Tulsa where you're like, man, I wish we could live out in the country. We toyed with that idea. Do we love the country enough just to not have neighbors, But we do like being around people. And I like that Charlie can go outside. The neighborhood kids are really friendly. Everyone kind of walks around where the pond is anyway. So if you just sit in the house and look out the window long enough, you kind of see when everyone's doing something. So we love it.
I love that our neighborhood has a buy-sell trade page.
Jenna rocks.
I know this is really random. Have you ever lived in a neighborhood that has this?
No.
It's its own Facebook marketplace.
It's its
we have
own
our
Craigslist
own
ad listing.
neighborhood
Like, it's-
Facebook marketplace, and so
A lot of things
that's
get
a lot
sold
of fun.
on that
I buy a
page.
lot of stuff on that. We
Oh
do
my
porch
goodness.
pickup, and we all buy each other's stuff.
That's how we started the bounce house business.
Okay.
Oh, yeah, we
Just
post on
posting
there.
it in that neighborhood
Yeah.
page, and we've gotten busy enough to where I'm like, I
that
don't know if
crazy?
I'm ready to start hiring people to like drive these trucks and buy more bounce house. I'm like, gosh, like we gotta figure this out.
If you look at a neighborhood like Highland Creek is massive.
Yeah.
That's a massive neighborhood.
I didn't
you would
know it was that
more.
big
You
until
would know
we
more
moved
than I
in,
do.
honestly.
Like, is that? Are there? I mean, I think
It's
it's like
gotta be
Presley
small.
Heights.
It's gotta
and
be
Bixby.
smaller
Like
than
very,
Yorktown
You know,
and Jinx, but
Yeah.
it's like it feels in parts like Yorktown just keeps going.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's
Right.
got like phase after phase, but that's what it feels like. I constantly forget which phase we're in. I still don't know. People are always like, "Oh, it's over. It's going on over in phase 3." I'm like, "Is that?"
I don't
us?"
even
Like,
know
I
what
look at
phase
it
we're
like,
in. Do you?
Two,
Do you remember?
I think 2 or 3.
Yeah,
Do you remember?
I don't
think it
remember.
was 2. It's been a
Sabrina's
minute.
like pop quiz. Like,
Pop quiz.
I failed my quiz.
yeah.
Yeah, it's massive. And I do like that about the neighborhood, though, that it is large. And there's a lot of kids in there, that
Yeah.
Charlie goes to school with. The bus stop, there's a lot of kids that ride that bus, that's got to be a good sign.
Yeah.
When there's lots of kids
Yeah.
getting on the
Right.
bus and like families doing drop off at the bus stop. And,
Gosh.
that's a good sign of it. I think like a good
Yes.
family neighborhood,
Takes me back to the 90s.
Yeah,
right?
you gotta ride
Don't
the
you remember like
bus, of
running
course.
after the
Oh,
bus,
yeah.
like backpacks, like one
Yeah.
strap in it, going through the
Yes.
yard, like chips are flying all over.
Yes.
Like, man, like that is a great sign though, because there's a lot of people. Today's world gets a little crazy, but I still constantly am looking at Jenna like, how do we still want to raise Charlie the parts of the way that we were
Yeah.
raised too? Because you can't just throw it all out and be like, it's 2024, times
Right.
are different. Like, no, she needs to go to school early. She needs to know how to be independent. She needs to know. There's so much just of that like gets lost today.
Yeah.
I feel like that.
Yeah.
Jenna and I are constantly like, do we want to die on this hill? Do we want to teach
Yeah.
our kid this, or
Yeah.
is this like, because culture is different
Totally.
than it was when we went to school. So,
Totally. Well, I think that's a large part too why we have Charlie, like in public education too.
Yeah.
And just the organization, the structure, the exposure to all different types of cultures,
the
beliefs,
conversations when she comes home
everything,
are part of it.
So,
Like, I mean,
Yeah.
that you might not get at a Christian school, nothing
Yeah.
knocking against Christian. Like, our kids have
nothing
been in
against
those
that at
up
all.
until the point where they
Yeah.
had the opportunity to go to public. And
Yeah.
unless something drastically changes our
Yeah.
mind, like, that's kind of where we're at with them. And she's got great friends and great teachers.
Great
Her
teachers.
Charlie's teacher's up for Teacher of the Year, I think.
She won Teacher of the Year.
She won.
Oh,
Sorry.
that's awesome.
Yeah.
I'm late to the party. Miss
Oh,
Meyer.
should we give her a shout out? Yeah, Miss Myers.
Meyer.
Yeah. Miss Meyer at Arrow Springs.
Arrow
so
Springs.
she's
Yeah.
our little 4-year-old
Yeah.
teacher.
Yep.
So
Oh, awesome. Okay, well, let's move on a little bit to, we know you guys love your neighborhood.
Yeah.
Now, you have a unique
Yeah.
lens because literally, like,
pun
no pun
intended.
intended. Yeah. Lens of being able to shoot all of,
Yeah.
Tulsa's neighborhood.
Yeah.
So if you could wave a magic wand and live in any neighborhood,
Yeah.
not Highland Creek, like just any
Yeah.
neighborhood
Yeah.
in the Tulsa area, any of the surrounding suburbs, like what neighborhood would you choose to if, the stars aligned and everything was
Suburbs, that
perfect?
got me.
oh, and the suburbs.
I think I know where you want to live. I think I know.
I could. I mean, if money was no object,
Yeah.
like you kind of have to break them down. No,
Is it Berwick?
no, it's not. I'm in Berwick so much. It's just new, nice houses in Berwick. Historic neighborhood. I'd live in Maple Ridge.
Yeah.
Somewhere butted up right next to the gathering place where it's walkable.
Yeah.
And if money was no object, as long as you have a big yard, things
Yeah.
like that. If money was no object, I'd live in Stone Canyon overlooking the golf
yeah.
course.
That's
If
right.
money was no
You love
object, and I would
Yeah.
buy Carrie DeWeese's listing right now for about $5 million, whatever it is. So that's the house I would live in.
Yeah.
And is it too much? 100% it is. It's
Yeah.
one of the coolest houses I've seen.
Yeah.
You know what I'm talking about? In the
I know
cul-de-sac
exactly.
with the pools.
You did the Twilight.
The
Yeah.
pool keeps going. I was
Wait,
like,
is that the one
this
that has
like
3 pools?
The hill.
Yeah.
it's like MTV Spring Break in the
Yes.
backyard.
Oh.
And George Lucas, I guess, did the theater room on it or something, or like his people.
Yeah.
Not him.
Right.
Like, it says
Yeah.
I'm like, George? Like, but no, it's nonetheless, it's one of the coolest houses that's like on the market right now that we've shot in the past. But yeah, Midtown has pockets everywhere. Like the coolest ones are like, I mean, like the, what is it? The McBurney Mansion.
Yeah, we shot that.
That was like, I'm only going off of neighborhoods based on experiences
Right.
I've had in those neighborhoods. So,
But you've had experiences in those neighborhoods than most, more experiences than most.
yeah,
So.
yeah. Being able to like go into, oh, this is in Midtown, and oh, I didn't even know this house was here. And like, we've shot some of the largest properties we've ever shot. You can't like see them. Like, you don't even really know
that they're there.
That they're there and they're tucked back. I'm like, this is $12 million in Oklahoma. Like, that's not a normal
Yeah.
Like, this is gonna, this is gonna sit for a while unless we do something crazy about it, right? So we really try to up our game and just give those out-of-state buyers who that might be a drop in the bucket to someone coming from the West Coast or the East Coast a chance if they want to live life here in Tulsa. So, yeah, I would live in Stone Canyon. And I would put that lady at the front gate on payroll so she doesn't give me such a hard time for pulling in every time. Sorry,
You cannot
edit
fly
that
a
out.
drone here.
She
In
reminds me all the production rules about what the Patriot offers and what folds of honor. And I'm like, look,
He's like, ma'am, you
I'm
don't own the air.
I was like, you don't own the air. I'm in compliance, and they want a picture of the Patriots. So I'm gonna get a picture of the Patriots. So.
Well, she
I don't
loves
even
her
know
job.
her name.
Yeah.
She is really good at her job.
One thing
Ex-military,
that
I'm sure.
I think is really unique. I don't know if you know the story. That I think is just so cool. When Leo and when Martin Scorsese, when they all came to film Killers of the Flower Moon, they were working with some agents here in Tulsa to find their properties. And I'm not going to disclose who, but basically it's an agent who works with us a lot, knows our ins and outs, knows what properties we shoot and everything. And he showed them like our portfolio. Like,
well, he showed in the neighborhoods they were interested in. He
Yeah.
showed the house
Yeah.
videos that we had shot. And I said, yeah. What'd he say?
Yeah.
Like, I literally was like,
Yeah.
you just said Leo watched it. He's like, well, he ended up renting one of them
Yeah.
over here. And I was like,
So isn't that so cool?
And he
That
made
they
a
like
mention-
found their
Awesome.
house
Yes.
from like our work.
So,
Matt
yeah.
was like, I can die happy.
yeah, I was like, I can
know.
die a happy man. At least Leo's gazed upon something I've created.
Yes.
But no, it was really
That's
cool.
a feather in the hat
Yeah.
for sure.
We
Yeah.
ended up shooting the Pioneer Woman's
Yeah.
Airbnb out there, and then I started talking with them while we were out there shooting it, and realized that's where like Kirsten Dunst and Jesse Plemons stayed during the filming of Killers of the Flower Moon. I was like, which room were they? Like, I was literally
Yeah.
going through the house.
Yeah.
It's just
Wait,
I'm
can you tell us where this is? Like what part?
in Pawhuska,
Pawhuska.
Okay.
right
It's about
downtown.
An hour north.
Okay.
Right?
Yep.
About an hour north. It's
Yeah.
kind of towards Bartlesville. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, when Martin
Which is for
Scorsese and
sale,
them came
by
in.
the way.
It's for sale?
Yeah, it is for sale. Cindy
Airbnb.
Morrison has it listed.
Yeah, Cindy Morrison. Yeah, you want us to
Giving
give
everyone
like,
a plug.
Geez,
Yeah.
everyone's getting a plug today. No, it's a really cool like little city. Pawhuska's cool, and it's right literally down the street
Yeah.
from like where their downtown is.
Yeah.
But it's like super historic. Like
Yeah.
I don't know, it's probably built before the Titanic sank
Yeah.
or something. I'm sure
Yeah.
like 1910 or something like that. But it's pretty epic. And yeah, we got to do all the media on that. And I just started asking questions because they had all this stuff about Killers of the Flower Moon while we were there trying to like promote in our photos, like book on the coffee table, stuff like that. And I just started asking. They're like, yeah, you know who Jesse Plemons is? I was like, yeah, I know who Jesse Plemons. Like, I'm a big like fan of a lot of his other work and stuff. Game night.
Yeah.
It was like 3 bags of Tostito
Yeah.
scoops, I see. Sorry. Anyway, but yeah, we've had so many cool opportunities,
Yeah.
like just
It's
with
just,
people
it's insane
that are
how many houses.
selling their house.
Matt
Like,
will, like, I feel like I did this more in the early days because nowadays I'm like, oh, yeah. Okay, it just comes with the job. But in the early days, he would call me and be like, "You'll never guess which house
Yeah,
I did.
I
It's
used to
this
nerd
house in, Terwilliger that we drive by and that we've always wanted to go in, and I'm in it, and I'd be like, I'll be right there, and I'll like go tour
Jenna
it,
will show
and I'm like,
up
hi, I'm with Vass,
and do like BTS with us. Like,
just because I like want to see it, and so that's been really cool, you
Yeah.
know. From our lens of the industry,
Yeah, and
seeing everything,
and being able, and our guys love that. Our guys like they're trying to show up and be as professional as we can, obviously. But when like a congressman answers the door or something like that, you just got to be on your P's and Q's. You're in people's space, but
Coaches,
it is really,
stuff.
really fun. Like it's fun, and you get a small little glimpse into like what some of those people live like and their tastes and things like that. So yeah, when we found our dream home, I was able to pick and choose things over the years that I've liked. So when we found that house and Sabrina had it listed, it was too perfect to not jump on it. Cause I looked at Jenna, I was like, we can't build our piecemealed together perfect house. We're going to have to go out to Bixby, and it's going to be like 125,000 more than we even think it is. So we should jump on this now. And I'm glad we did. So,
definitely. Yeah, for sure.
Sorry, I keep talking about the house.
No, I love it. I love it. Keith always asks, how are they liking the house?
Oh my gosh, we love it.
I need to text them actually. See, I want to put a fence to make a dog run on the side. We're trying to fix our grass right now that they've screwed up in the backyard. So had someone give us a quote for turf that was like outrageous. Like, I was like, yeah, how much? They're like, oh, well, we do all the greens and stuff for like the PGA guys' houses. It was a connection from Stone Canyon. So I was like, yeah, have them come out. It's like $100,000.
What? Yes.
I was like, wait, 100? Like, he's like, yeah. It was basically like, when do you want us to get started? I was like, never. Like, I love you, but
I don't. Yeah.
100K is,
That's my magic wand life.
Yes.
Just give me a Lambo.
But who knows? Maybe sometime, maybe in 20 years, we'll be re-recording the
for
podcast.
Turf? I mean, I got 3 dogs. They're paying, but like, I'll like go to Lowe's. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
So, yeah.
Oh my gosh.
Okay, so we've talked a little bit about Tulsans or Oklahomans. So a Tulsan that you admire, and I know there's plenty of people to admire, so not trying to put you on the spot and say that you don't admire other people. Like who's somebody, whether you know them personally or not, but that's made an impact on your life, making a difference in Tulsa, somebody, that you would love to meet or that has been
You're gonna have to go first.
Into your life.
Have to go first because I'm still making my selection.
Well, we are big music people. And so one of our favorite musicians is from Tulsa, Ben Rector. I know that not everyone may know who that is. We love Ben Rector, and he's from Tulsa.
Yeah.
Another Tulsan that we love his music is Paul Klein, lead singer of Laney, which is another fun fact. Of course, we love Hanson. I mean, I love Hanson. I grew up, in the Hanson era. So they're all from Tulsa.
Yeah. Tulsa has such a rich heritage that I'm trying to remember. Like one time I saw like in someone's house in Midtown, it had like all the famous people that were from Tulsa. It was like a list and just kind of made up like the skyline. But I was looking, I mean, there were people in there that like I didn't even know like had
Tulsa.
been, and I don't,
Garth
I still,
Brooks and...
well, like I saw like, I don't want to say it if it's wrong. I saw like Eric Clapton on that list. I don't know if he wasn't born in Tulsa that I'm aware of. So anyway, there's a lot of like
musicians.
Musicians culture. I just appreciate what Tulsa is. It's such a melting pot. Like for people up north, Tulsa, you literally, if you've never been here, I assumed, like, this is so stupid. I assumed there legit were like tumbleweeds. Like I actually thought that was like the norm. Like if you drove down the highway, like that's not like a poking fun at Western people. Yeah. Like that's like what Oklahoma is. When I got here, I was like, man, people drive crazier down here than they do in Detroit. Like this is like everyone drives pretty fast, and but it's a cool melting pot.
Yeah, it is a melting
being
pot.
On Route 66 because that's like. Yeah. Something when you're from up north, you're like, oh, we're going to go with the family and do Route 66. It's like in our backyard, like little hole in the wall motels that look super cool and are so like the American dream culture. Like we're big Wally's people. We like Wally's. It's a gas station like Buc-ee's, but it's like, when you go in there, it's like you're in like Clark Griswold's like gas station. Like on the wall, it's just like murals of like traveling with the family. And I'm like, this is great. So Tulsa's a good place for that.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I think a lot of people, when they hear Tulsa, like you said, they just have a totally different opinion of it. And then when they start to see it or research it, they're like, wait a second, this place, might actually be cool. And it really is.
Yeah.
And especially the past, I mean, we grew up at the same time. So even like downtown, probably 20 years ago, like we would never hang out downtown.
No. Used to have to go down there when I was a kid.
Yeah.
Really? My mom would have to go to the courthouse. She worked like in the legal aspect. And so, she was a single mom, so when I wasn't in school, I had to be with her. So I literally walked to the Tulsa County Courthouse probably 100 bazillion times as a kid. We would park right across the street in the parking lot. And so I know how to navigate the courthouse and go to the court clerks and navigate that. I don't even know how I know that. But I think also I want to say another Tulsa I admire is Linda Lehman. I should give it a shout out to Linda Lehman. So a lot of people don't know this, but when I was growing up, when my parents divorced, my mom put me in Linda Lehman. Do you remember Linda?
What? No, which
do you remember
is
Linda?
what?
No.
No one knows.
She was located
Linda?
at about 51st and Harvard, but she had an agency that was for acting and also modeling. But I was in there primarily for acting, and my mom just thought as a kid I just could have a conversation and walk in a room
with
and
adults,
even as I loved Larry King Live. I loved the Today Show. I just was just really random. I loved reading newspapers and journalism. And so she put me in Linda Lehman, and I got casted for all these commercials. And so I have filmed for Community Care.
Oh my
I was
goodness.
how did I not know
their
this?
little
Kid commercial, you know, girl, I was a representative as a kid. So Community Care, Oklahoma, our PSO. Yeah, PSO.
Yep.
A bunch of companies.
She's got all these
I would just go audition, and Linda represented me, and they'd be like, hey, they're going to come film here. Mall of America came to Tulsa one time. Shania Twain came to Tulsa one time, filmed a music video. Oklahoma Highway Patrol. Lots of local, big companies that would go find talent.
Yeah.
And so that was fun because I feel as a kid, I saw a lot of Tulsa.
Yeah.
We would go out on sets and go all
that's
around.
fun. I didn't have any of that when I was a kid. I would have been enamored.
I would get
probably.
paychecks, which is insane.
Yeah.
Wow.
It's crazy.
Is she still?
So she, the agency still exists, the Linda Lehman agency, but she has since then retired.
Okay.
So she's given the agency over to someone else. But yeah. So a little fun fact. I have a minor in theater.
Okay.
So it's originally what I studied going into college. So yeah.
I did not know that.
Yeah.
It's hard for me being from Michigan, knowing every association I had with Tulsa before moving down here was actually in the church world. And I originally moved down here to go to Rhema Bible College, which I don't even know if you knew that about me, but that's what I was doing
gonna
before.
Ask, what brought you here?
So that's what kind of brought me here. Nothing other than I was single, had a house, and had equity, and I was in Michigan and just trying to start over somewhere else. And I had my brother and his wife had both went to Rhema, so they had lived in Tulsa. I had visited once before. I remembered it was warm down there when we were shoveling snow in Michigan, so I was like, that's cool for me. But yeah, it was always probably over the past, people that were influential that I knew were from Tulsa were always preachers or people that I had listened to their messages long before I had ever moved down here. But Kenneth Hagin Sr., the one who passed, he kind of had a big deal in what Broken Arrow was before it was even there. It was a field where all Rhema is. And
which I feel being from here, you don't quite unless you go there, unless you go to church there, we forget that.
True.
I remember when I met Matt and he was like, yeah, I go to Rhema. I was like, the lights.
She was
I go there every year.
For the Christmas lights?
Yeah.
And love them. But I just forgot. I'm like, oh, they have a church and they have a school and people move here from all over the world,
And honestly, I didn't move down here to go to Rhema as much as it was I was going to go to Rhema while I was down here, just living on my own, working. I worked at Best Buy, selling cell phones. So I went to Bible school, but I was a kids pastor before I even went to Rhema at a church up in Michigan. So I did it backwards. Most of the time people are like, go to Bible school, then do that. I had received a lot of training and been on staff at some churches. So that kind of was my in the field training. I more so was just hey, it's not a bad thing to get a little bit more of the word from 8 to noon and then go work my job. And that was my life when I met Jenna. Actually, we met through someone that I went to Rhema with that went to high school with her. She slid right into the DMs and the rest was history.
Loves to do this.
It's the truth. It's actually how it happened.
What's it matter?
It doesn't matter. It was awesome. Just tell them the story. She gets so fired up every time too.
That's so funny. Okay, well, getting to know how you guys met.
Yeah.
Okay, on a final question to wrap up, what is your favorite thing, to do with the kids in Tulsa? And then your favorite thing to do as a date, date night and family.
Yeah. Let's do date night first. We love pickleball.
Yeah, I was just gonna say that.
So we go to this place. A lot of people don't know about it. So we go for your
Tulsa
podcast.
Athletic
Tulsa Athletic Club. Have you heard of it?
Where's it
it's
at?
11th and Peoria.
It's downtown, yeah.
And they've got
outdoor
courts. They've got outdoor bar. You can bring in your own food. They have drinks. All the
the drinks are.
It's
always
just
good.
like so. It's never busy. They need to be busier. Like it's an amazing place.
So we usually go there, have some drinks,
can rent
play
a
a
court.
couple games of pickleball. Then we're like starving and we go out to dinner.
Yeah.
So
how
that's
fun.
either
Yeah.
like just somewhere different each
We
time.
love pickleball.
Mi Casino.
Yeah.
Am I saying it right? I say it wrong.
It says casino.
Casino.
Like it's
Mi
Mi
Casino.
Casina.
Mi Casino.
Yeah. Oh, you know what? That's another Tulsa and I admire. You said Mi Casino made me think of it. I ran into Chris and Chenoweth in the bathroom.
Oh, yeah?
At Mi Casina. Like coming
Oh my
out of the
gosh.
stalls together
Oh.
and we're washing our hands and I'm like, are you Chris and Chenoweth? And we were alone and she was like she
she's,
like
like,
did
in the
not
middle
want
of
to tell me
washing
because
her
she was
hands,
like,
leave her
you could tell
alone.
she just done working out. And I was like, oh my gosh, I love you. And she was like, okay.
Okay.
And then she had security
Yeah.
outside. I just didn't even notice. It was so funny.
Like she went in
Anyways,
and then you went in.
I-
Security's like, there's someone in there.
I
with
really
her,
do
like-
admire her, and
Yeah.
she does a lot of work for Broken Arrow Public Schools.
Okay.
in the PAC
I didn't
and
know
stuff.
that,
Yeah,
so.
yeah. So
And she's really funny.
she's really funny
lot
and
of
a great
stuff,
singer.
so.
Anyways, date night. We love Mi Casino. We love
Pickleball.
We're not really like, I know a lot of people in Tulsa are foodies. We're really not foodies. We're more like we like to like go be active and get something like on the run, but we're really not like I wish we were, especially in our industry. We're not like your like
Yeah.
fine wine, caviar.
Yeah.
I mean, like, we love a good glass of wine. I hope you know what I mean.
Oh.
Yeah,
We're
yeah.
not the type that's like,
My-
we're going to go to like a
Right.
really like nice, classy, I don't even know what's on my plate type place.
Yeah.
We're going to go get tacos and then we're going to go to
We're
Riverside.
always
and we're
pissed
probably going to
when
go
we
on a
go to a
run.
really nice place,
Yeah.
and Jenna's like, and I'm like, you
I'm
don't
like,
like
do
anything
you have
on this
queso
menu, dude. Like, yeah.
Chips,
Yeah, chips,
queso.
queso.
But we love Riverside. We love biking.
Yeah.
We love, anything outside.
We
being
also
active.
frequent,
Yeah.
because we live in Broken Arrow, Hillside Drive.
Yes.
Hillside Drive in Broken
Yeah.
Arrow is our jam. That's kind of where we operate. That's our
Tell me
where
more
our
about Hillside
stores
Drive.
are.
Yeah. Well, Hillside Drive didn't exist when I was growing up, which is crazy. But it's in Broken Arrow, and I would say if you live in Broken Arrow, it's essential for your shopping. It's got your Target, it's got your
where Dick's
Marshalls,
is.
Dick's, PetSmart, a lot more shopping's going in, but like also your Sprouts, your Hobby Lobby. It's really our central location where we would normally, and when I was growing up, you had to go to Tulsa to get. And it's funny too, because I'm like, you're like, I think you asked this before we came on, where's your favorite place to shop? I'm such a Tulsa girl. I'm like, Woodland Hills Mall. But I think so many people would laugh at that.
Like Brookside
Because
or-
guess what? Tulsa Hills didn't exist when I was a kid. And Utica exists, but it was expensive. And only the rich kids got to go to Utica. And that's just what I thought. And so
Utica's great. I
we
love
love
Utica.
Utica though.
That's a
I
good-
thought
that's a good,
in my
like,
head as a
afternoon
kid,
lunch
I'm like, I
date
think you have to
walk
pay to
around.
go walk there. I don't know why I thought that.
I've gotten almost, I've
It
gotten
is
like,
free to just be.
hey, I've gotten like almost asked to leave while just being in the parking lot with my camera
Yeah.
in Utica, because some guy was like, you can't take pictures of the fronts of the restaurants and stuff. And then literally a person from the restaurant that I took a picture of that came out was like, what are you talking about? Leave him alone. And the guy, I was like, I don't know who to believe. I'm out of here. Like, I was just like,
That happens
funny.
everywhere we go.
Yeah.
But yeah, Hillside Drive is essential to our shopping. And then favorite places for the kids in Tulsa, we are aquarium members.
Yes.
aquariums.
So we love the aquarium. We love Jinx. We love the Gathering Place, of course, the Discovery Lab.
Oh, yeah.
And we had a membership before they were in their new building. So like down here, in downtown Tulsa area, that's where Charlie went as a baby.
So
which is like,
it was a huge upgrade.
I used
when
to take her
the new
all the
building got
time
built.
when she was a little one. And so it was a big upgrade when we got the new building.
And she likes going to the movie theaters like an old
She does
kid.
love the
Like,
movies.
we
I
build
wonder
it
where she
up.
gets
like,
that from.
Yeah.
Popcorn, snacks.
Love
like
snacks. The zoo.
Oh,
we
yeah.
have a great zoo.
We do have
I
a
feel
great
like it's
zoo.
underrated.
Yeah.
Like the Tulsa Zoo, you kind of forget it exists. It's really pushed like back there,
Push.
like almost like a Wasso,
Right.
like northern airport area, and it's a good zoo.
It is.
Like, it's
It's
a
a
good
great
place. They've had some renovations over the past few years. So, anywhere else? You think of with the kids?
No, the kids have tons to do. We go
The
out.
Rose District.
We don't. We go out of town on the weekends. In the summer, we go to Skytook usually.
the boat
so
club.
we frequent. We are boat club members at their marina. Which, in case you don't want all the headaches of having to launch a boat or
buy a boat,
or store a boat or maintenance on a boat, like boats are awesome, but they become so much when
Right.
you are the guy who does all of that. Like going
you
out
heard
on
of
the
this?
boat's
No.
not even
The
fun.
membership? Yeah,
So-
it's like it would be like you saying like I want to be a golf club member.
It's like a yacht
but
club member.
You just
but, like,
you go pay a monthly fee and you can take out any boat.
The fee,
Really?
the
On
fee is
Skytook
like the
Lake.
same cost as it would for a storage unit for you to keep the
Yeah.
boat in there monthly anyway.
It's
so
really not a high monthly fee.
us-
They offer
And how many
different-
times can you go?
Anytime.
every
Really?
day if you want.
It's insane.
It's like it's
No,
you have to
it
make your
is such a
reservations.
little,
but you can
like,
take a
gem.
wakeboarding boat out one day, a pontoon boat out the
skis.
next day. So like our staff. That's one of the perks when you come work at Vast Media.
do have a corporate.
you get a corporate boat club membership.
We do
So-
all their marketing.
Oh.
So like not a lot of people know that, but we work for, that's a national company. I would say we represent Suntex Marinas. So they're located in all these
They've
different
got
states.
places in like Nashville, Napa Valley. So if you're a
We'll
boat club
film a lot
member,
here.
if you're a
Yeah.
boat club member in Skytook, you could go on a vacation to Napa Valley and then just take out a boat while you're there, and it's no cost because you
Oh my
already
goodness.
paid
Your
for
membership,
it. So it's
yeah.
like a car rental agency,
Yeah.
but you just have to
Wow.
find what marinas have it.
Yeah.
Skytook does. So.
Yeah, Skytook.
Cross Timbers
Yeah.
Marina.
We go there a lot in the summer.
Charlie has learned to love the lake.
Which is like
so.
from our house. Okay, so South BA, which a lot of people are like, wow, you live out there.
40
He had a realtor. You had a realtor tell you, you live in Arkansas.
Yeah.
like,
no,
like
no,
he was
it
like,
was, it
I
was
don't
someone,
live that far.
no, it was someone picking something up on Facebook Marketplace. I was like, yeah. I was like, it's the exit NSU BA. And he's like, man, you're like in Arkansas. I'm like, you must be from the other side of the state. Like,
You must
I'm
be
not-
from like
not in
Collins or
Arkansas.
like Collinsville or
But-
like, you know.
Yeah.
Anyways, it's like from to Skytook Lake being on the water, like a 40-minute drive. To South
Okay,
BA,
yeah,
which is like
from-
not bad.
No, not bad at all.
20 minutes to the city, 20 minutes in the hills.
Yeah,
So,
yeah.
and the hills
It's
are
a good
like
little
a
getaway.
little bit more scenic once you start getting
They have
out
cabins
there.
out there, and
Yeah.
that'd be a good place to film some content.
That's what I was just thinking.
Yeah,
I was
take you out on a boat.
Yeah.
Come on
that's-
out.
That's going to be a video.
Those homes on the bluff.
Yeah.
That like before
We
you
shot
even get
those.
into the really nice neighborhood, I'm drawing a blank what that neighborhood's called.
Yeah.
The gated one.
Yeah.
It's like their version of Stone Canyon, like
Yeah.
kind
Yeah.
of out there. And
I
it's
have
all the
found that.
houses that are along
Yes.
the coast.
Yes.
Like kind of
oh, I love that neighborhood. And I can't think of what it's called either. I've done a video on that
We've
neighborhood.
shot three that I can remember houses that were in there, and they're tough, but like they're so fun to go out on the water and
Yeah.
be like, look at that house.
My favorite
Like,
is
it's
like
right
their
there.
sign is like always on the balcony. It's hanging off the lake.
So when
You know,
you're
when
on the
something's
lake,
for
you can
sale,
see
you're
it.
Oh,
like,
yeah.
oh, there's their like banner. Basically,
Yeah.
you got to get a banner
Yeah.
for your listing.
But lake life is something that doesn't come natural in Oklahoma. I feel like coming from Michigan, you are
It comes natural,
20
babe, but
minutes.
you are bougie,
No,
and it's not clear water.
Lakes are so
yeah.
dirty down here.
I mean-
well,
man-made
Skytook Lake
and,
is
like,
the cleanest.
It's clean. It's
that's
good.
why we go to Skytook.
Okay, yeah.
It's the closest thing that I felt like when we were kids. We'd grow up and like go fishing in Kentucky and Tennessee, and that's what lakes feel like. A little bit in Oklahoma, like to
You
me.
guys
like,
have Lake
they were-
Michigan, which is
That's
like
what
the
I'm
ocean.
saying. It looks like the ocean.
They were like
Yeah.
rock canyons that were filled in with water, and that's why the water looks brown. But in Michigan, yeah, I mean, you can like see to the bottom of the
Yeah.
earth. It's like swimming in the Caribbean in some.
Matt's
so.
hometown is just comprised of all these neighborhoods that live off of lakes.
Every-
Every
How
neighborhood has a like
Everything's like
shared lake
Yeah.
that
half
everyone
the
has
neighborhood.
boats.
Yeah.
I'm like, this is so different.
That was a
Yeah.
big shift
You
when
know?
I came
Yeah.
down here. I was like, people don't boat unless you like
But like at
live
their house,
Grand Lake.
No, like
Yeah.
people boat, but they don't like have it
Unless
parked
you have-
outside their
it's not in their
backyard.
house.
Unless you have like a cabin. Like I grew up, my friends, like when they got done with dinner, like they walked to their backyard because there's a dock there, and we'd like go fishing. Like
Yeah.
we'd go tubing. Like that was just kind of growing up. But
Yeah.
Skytook is our little piece of trying to inject that into our kids.
Yeah.
So, letting them have a little bit of fun on the water. We did that when COVID hit. We freaked out and didn't think we were going to be able to take any more vacations. So
Yeah.
we were like, we bought a pontoon, owned our own boat for 3 years, and loved it. But just found out a lot and like learned a lot of
Best
life
day was
lessons.
when we
I could
sold
do-
it.
Yeah.
I could be a stand-up comic in Tulsa. All I gotta do is a bit on like the boat launch and
Yeah.
like everything that ensues at that boat
Yeah.
launch. So
Like the divorce.
oh my god, like the
Yeah.
things people said to me, like
That's the whole thing.
Anyway,
Yeah.
so yeah, I don't know where I was going, but
Skytook.
Yeah, Skytook
Good
Lake.
little plug for that. I always
Okay.
forget about that town.
I know.
It's a little paradise that no one ever really,
Yeah.
and everyone knows about Grand Lake. And if you have friends or people that have an inn out there,
Yes.
that's great. But if you don't, it's kind of overwhelming. You're like, where do I go? Skytook's small. There's
Yeah.
a marina that sells beer and pizza, and it's like you can come off the water and have lunch and watch the sun go down. That's kind of what sold us a little bit. I was
Yeah.
like, we're not like, we love golf, but we're not like really country club
Yeah.
people, but I could do this. That's what I said to her. I was like, and I could like deal with not having to own a boat
Yeah.
and like do
Yeah.
this. So
Yeah.
it was worth it.
Okay. Well, I'm going to have to check that out.
Yeah.
Well, thank you guys
Yeah.
for
Absolutely.
joining us. I think that everyone has enjoyed seeing Tulsa through your eyes, gave some great pickleball, the boat club,
Yep.
like all kinds of great tips and inside tips for that. So Tulsa is a gem, and I appreciate you guys coming on.
Yeah, absolutely. Thanks for having us.
Thanks, Sabrina.